Cat TV is celebrating 30 years of community media. Help support Cat TV's next 30 years by becoming a member today. Your membership will help us continue covering meaningful, local content. Thank you for supporting your local community media station.
May 10th, 2022. It is a combination virtual and in-person meeting. The first order of business, according to our agenda, is to review and approve the minutes of April 12th, 2022. Did trustees get a chance to look at these minutes? And were there any questions, comments, or concerns for our clerk?
It all looked
I
good.
had no concerns.
Is there a motion?
I'll make a motion that we accept them as written.
All right, so moved and seconded, all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Lori, do you
Aye.
have that? Good to go, all right. Second item on our agenda is to review and approve the payment of bills. We have 2 warrants today. I hope trustees have these in front of us. If need be, we'll try to get them on the screen, but if we have them, we have a payroll warrant in the amount of $7,549.54. These are for the direct deposit paychecks that were done in the month of April under the new bi-weekly payroll system. So as we discussed before, we will now be approving in arrears instead of ahead of. There was also the AFLAC withholding that was removed.
Okay.
Any questions?
Looks good. I'll make a motion.
Thank
I'll
you.
second it.
Thank you. So moved and motioned, all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Okay. We have the expense warrant in the amount of $22,843.98. Doug, treasurer, is there anything that you felt ought to be noted on this? Anything different or unusual that ought to be brought to attention?
I can't hear him.
We have our owl on. That's why we're trying to do this.
Yes.
Yeah, I can't hear.
We can't hear Doug on Zoom.
Okay, we
We
were testing our owl. We have our owl in place, and that is supposed to be picking up the audio.
It's picking up you.
Maybe it is my computer. Let's see if we can.
And
So
Doug's
I-
right next to you.
Oh, I just did. This should be better. Doug, try that.
Not really.
Oh, we hear everybody. Now we're on the owl. Wow. No. Okay, we are on the owl system, right?
Are we getting?
We should be on the owl. This is what we're supposed to be doing.
I'll slide you.
Okay, well, we are attempting to work the owl. Now look, this is not working here. Nope,
Mary, you speak for a second.
I know, but my whole thing is locked up.
Oh, I see.
Yeah, you're frozen.
All right. All right, now, am I? Okay.
Okay, just so you guys.
So now you need to turn off your audio.
Yeah, no, that was me.
Okay, can everybody hear me?
Yes.
I can hear you.
Okay, so we switched the owl back to the computer that we used last month. For some reason, Mary's computer wasn't picking up the audio from the owl. It was only using the microphone in her computer.
Gotcha.
My settings say I was on the owl, but it was not. Okay.
Okay, so Lori, are you good? You can hear all three of us now?
Can you hear me now?
Yes, I can hear everybody.
Okay.
Okay, perfect. So back to the
warrant.
the warrant for expenses. What I was saying was this is the expense warrant. The detail was not attached. Mary and I are still working through a few things of training and technical difficulty through QuickBooks of my learning curve. So the detail will follow, but if anybody has any questions between Lori and myself, we can answer them. There was nothing out of the ordinary. These are all bills that we've had in past months. So if anybody has any questions, certainly let me know.
Actually, I do have one. Where's the other Comcast ones? Weren't there 3 Comcasts? Remember we had to.
I think what happened, Mary, is there were 2 Comcast, but it looks like Doug put 2 of them on the same check.
Okay.
Okay, but
All right.
what I did is I included both of the stubs, and I made sure it was noted on the memo, and it was. So they should be okay.
Okay.
And
It
then
should be. Go ahead.
Oh, I was just gonna say, you know, we did everything correctly, but, you know, we also sent out our Aflac bill and that never got there, so.
Yeah.
There you
Okay.
go again.
Well,
It's
What
that
now?
postal system, but I don't know.
oh, yes. So here's what we're gonna do. We are gonna
May-
go ahead and motion. Yes, Ray?
We're still in question period, right? I don't have
Yes,
a
we are.
question about individual amounts. What does Doug mean by details? Because I'm new to this. I don't know what the details would be. I personally would like to see to what accounts these are under. You know,
That is under the detail. And
Okay.
last month, when the warrant was sent out, there were 2 tabs. Well, there were 2 separate PDFs. One was the warrant and one was called warrant detail.
Yeah,
And that had
okay,
all the details.
right,
Well,
all right.
right. So you will be getting that.
So
And
I'm fine with the warrant. I just wanted to express that interest in having the detail, which is not there in this particular case, but I'll take Doug's word for it that it's nothing out of the ordinary here.
Typically, Ray, we do get the detail and we will get it, but usually we do get it with the warrant.
Right.
And the
Okay,
problem was,
thank
we were working, it was Mother's Day, and I was limiting my time on Mother's Day. Sorry.
For you.
So,
Good for you.
so the warrant here in question again is for $22,843.98. I believe there is still a missing Comcast on here. Let's go ahead and do this. If so, it will either be on a second warrant because there were some additional late checks that we do not even have printed yet. And we can correct, and we can update it at that time.
I make the motion to accept the warrant for May.
I'll second it.
Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, so we now have Alyssa Del Tufo in our audience, although the owl is not on. We have audio for the owl, but not video. So let's get Alyssa Del Tufo on here.
Want me to move?
You may, if our owl, I see our owl on now. There you are. You may want to come a little forward and make sure that Lori can see and hear you. There, that's fine. So Alyssa is here for, let's see, last month when the ARPA funds were approved for Parent Rec and the school and the village school and the library, a couple of trustees had a question or two for Alyssa on, I believe it was to do with the
pump. Why
the
the
pump.
sewage pump is being replaced.
the pump. So Alyssa will answer that, but her primary purpose is a follow-up for an additional ARPA request. And if you'll recall, the original amount that had been submitted by Alyssa was a sum total of $108,400. We approved two items, a community outreach specialist and the sewer pump and repair. So Alyssa is now here for a third item, which she will talk about. But to follow up first on the question, if a trustee had a question for Alyssa, please ask now.
I'll tell you, our pump broke. So we, and it was a 2-year warranty, so we actually had to get it repaired. In that process, we discovered that the sewer main had broken off because we had to get the pump repaired, and then nothing worked still. And then we realized that when it was originally backfilled, it's a complicated system. So the sewer main comes out of the building and then connects to like a manhole that has the pump in it. The sewer main must have been knocked off kilter. It must have been cracked. And over the last 6 years or 5.5 years of freezing and thawing and freezing and thawing, that got dislodged. And so then we had to dig up the whole thing. You know what word I wanted to put in there. And so it's been an actual little disaster, but we were also surprised that the warranty for the pumps was not longer than it was. And we learned there are 2 pumps in there, and one is sort of a backup. Apparently they alternate back and forth. And so we have, it's now actually fixed. We had to do it right away because we're having events there and things like that.
Yeah.
So I don't know if that answers your question.
So the pump was under the 2-year warranty, or it wasn't?
No,
How
it's
old
been
was
in there
it?
5 years,
Okay.
maybe close to 5.5 years.
Okay. Do we know what the longevity of a pump is supposed to be?
I don't even know. I don't know whether the break in the line may have stressed the pump out like that.
Okay.
It's possible.
Yeah.
We didn't know that at first. We only knew that after we had the pump problem. So it made me think that maybe there was something connected there between but whatever. It was,
So now both parts are fixed,
both parts are fixed.
but we approved it, right?
I don't know, actually. I'm
Yeah,
not sure whether.
We
it
did
was
approve it.
Yes,
Oh,
we did.
okay.
Yes.
All right, so, thank you very much. We appreciate anything, truly.
Yes. So proceed with your current request.
Okay.
Unless, I should say unless trustees had, did that answer the trustees' question?
It answered my questions, yes.
I might have another one. The fact that the infill of this system seems to have been negligent.
Yeah.
I mean, for the pipe to break
Well,
off,
yeah. As you may remember, we had a lot of the work that we did there when we rebuilt the building was done by the CDC.
okay,
So there's only so far we can go with that,
Right.
unfortunately. I understand what you're saying, and we did contemplate that, but we were also aware that we had the only way we were able to afford it, even though it cost us almost $500,000, was because they did a lot of that work, either
Yeah.
free or brought in colleagues that worked with them on this. I don't even understand quite what that relationship is like, but that was a lot of that work was done that way. So.
All right, so
And-
that's a little further detail, and I agree with you that we're not going to go further.
that's fine.
Okay. Okay.
All right.
So let me understand, the rest of the requests on this priority list that I sent to Mary after the first request, are we discussing any more of that? or
You
what?
told me that you had a specific piece that you
Yes.
wanted to ask for.
Yes.
So that is the only thing to be
Okay.
discussed tonight, is that specific piece.
Well, there are two things, and we can talk about both of them and see. We really need new picnic tables. They're all falling apart, but we really need signs. We're really interested in having sort of wayfinding signs on site so that when people come up to the lake, they know where to park, they know where it's handicapped, they know where the trail is. And so those are the two things that we are still very, very interested in seeing if you could. And, even if we didn't get 10 new picnic tables, if we got 5, it would help us. So, and I did look up all these costs that I put in here. But, even with that, it depends which ones you get, you know what I mean?
Yes.
There's wiggle room in all of this. So if we do get new picnic tables, we would be getting the, whatever the fake wood is called, because we've had a lot of problems with splintering and
Yeah.
things out in the weather just kind of deteriorating too quickly. So, but the wayfinding signage is something that we're really pretty committed to doing because it really just improves the entire kind of facility there and gives people more understanding about what's there. And we're also trying to connect people more with the natural surroundings. So we want some of that to be informative about the water in the lake, the weeds in the lake, the habitat issues that are there as well. So that's.
Okay, so for the trustees, in
Yes.
case you didn't have handy the document that had been previously sent out, the wayfinding and safety signage was listed at $7,500. Is that still a correct?
Yes, I mean, that,
Estimate.
we will
Okay.
expand or contract to whatever we get.
Okay.
We'll prioritize what,
Okay.
if we get that much, that would take care of everything that we wanted. If you give us less, we would shrink and
Okay.
prioritize what signage we would need.
And then just going back to the original request, the 10 picnic tables were $15,500.
Yes, that's what
Okay.
and I did research that, but again, like I said, there's wiggle room in that. Like
Okay.
we also talked after I put these prices down about just buying the materials and having someone actually construct them. And that would, I don't know what that would do to the cost, but
On that subject, I do know the Boy Scouts have built picnic tables
Yeah,
before,
yeah.
and that might be a community
Yes,
service
it might
thing
be
that they
something.
do for you guys.
Yeah.
That might offset some of the cost of that.
right. So this price is based on fully, put together hardy board or whatever that stuff is called.
So just a quick question.
Yes, sure.
So the
Hold on.
community outreach
Yes.
that was approved,
Yes.
did you have that budgeted in your budget for a community outreach person?
Moving forward, well,
No, because you requested it and the village approved it
not sure what you mean by budgeted.
within your budget.
Well, we will now, if that's what you mean. It's not replacement. It's not replacing.
So my
staff.
question ties in is
Mm-hmm.
if the board had already approved the ARPA funds for the pump replacement and the outreach.
Yes.
If one of those was built into your budget, would you be able to sway money over to these next two items that you're requesting in addition to what the board has already approved?
No, we don't. These are not items that we have in our budget. If we would have to be, I mean, we don't have no money in our like savings account, but have been mostly a summer program. So we basically have a budget for like 4 months, mostly. The rest of the year is, but we're trying to move towards a full year, full-time organization with staffing that runs full year to do after school work and kind of environmental education for the community. So that the community outreach person is a special and new position. And it would be a huge help to us because it's a big lift for us to go from being a seasonal organization to one that's trying to really kind of provide this kind of, recreation and outdoor education work for the full year. So it would really set us up in a way that we could build that program and then, sustain it.
Well, those were
Yes.
already
Yes.
previously
Yes.
done. So
Yes.
the topic tonight is
Just the other way.
additional
Mhm,
funds
right.
for some number of picnic tables
Yes.
and some amount of
Yeah,
signage.
so those would be our priorities, and we'd very much like to be able to do that and quickly because some of the comments.
Okay.
Would you be able to provide a breakdown of the picnic tables and benches, just so we know what they cost
Absolutely,
per
yes.
and what they're made out of? Are they wood or are they other
Yeah,
material?
yeah, absolutely. And like I said, we are inclined to get the fake wood only because we have
It'll last
so many.
longer.
It'll last longer, and
Yeah.
little kids get splinters all the time on the,
Yeah.
because they slide.
When you,
Yes,
hi, when you say fake wood, are you just talking about the seats and the top?
yeah.
It's it's not structurally that stout.
No, but when I
Frame.
looked online, those seem to have metal framework, and then then the seats and the top were the hardy board.
And
I
are
call
these
that
going
the
to be indoor under the pavilion or in the
Well,
outside?
if we had 10, they'd be in and out. If we get fewer, they'll just be, we'll move the better ones that we have on the property now underneath the pavilions, and we'll use the new ones for the outdoor.
Outdoors.
That's what we'll end up doing.
I'm curious,
Because these will.
I'm curious if there would be, for a number of the, maybe the outdoor ones, if you couldn't establish a permanent place for them and then do a cast concrete type of situation. In fact, I know somebody who might be able to do some kind of interesting art whilst making the picnic tables.
Is that my husband?
That's what I was thinking, but
Joe?
Yeah.
Were you thinking Joe?
I was thinking.
Okay, well, when he's done volunteering running the NBOSS show, then I'll tell him he can do this.
I get that.
I'm not sure.
I'm not saying he should volunteer for it, but at $1,500 a table, it seems like there are designs out there for these kind of permanent, city structures that will last 30 years instead of 5.
Mhm.
But-
Yeah. I don't know what the lifespan of these new ones are. I mean, when we rebuilt the Y dock, which is probably 10 or 12 years ago, we used this, whatever kind of wood it is. And it's holding up quite well, I have to say.
It's Trex,
So-
and
Oh, yes, Trex.
it's not the greatest for tables because it's about as heavy as concrete by the time you stabilize the.
Probably.
I just,
Well, I would be happy to talk about that, but I doubt that Joe is the one that's gonna do
okay,
it,
so that's fine. But is there not a
Yeah.
market out there where you can access pricing and costs for something that is more of a concrete? I've seen them. I know I've seen them. I mean, people play chess on them in the city, and they
Yeah. Mhm.
play ping pong, and
Yeah, I assume that there is.
we're talking
a place.
$15,000 for 10 picnic tables when George Larigo purchased wood ones for the Waters Park, which have lasted
Right.
not too many years. But those were like $150 a piece.
No, I know, we have some of those as well. I don't know if our wear and tear is a lot more than what happens over at Waters Park, but I think part of the problem is that, well, some of our picnic tables are just ancient. Some of them are used by skateboarders as landing pads. And I know that we have purchased some fairly heavy duty pressure treat ones that are under the new pavilion. I think we may have bought them, and they're still in very good shape, so they would stay.
They will always produce
like I said-
splinters.
Yeah, but like I said, whatever contraction or expansion that you are willing to offer us, we will work with you or figure out what the best value for that investment is.
Yeah.
Question, is there any immediacy for you to need to know this? In other words, like the signage?
Yeah.
Is that something that you would need to have prior to opening for a season?
We don't need it for prior. We wouldn't be able to probably pull that together, but we'd like to get it done over the summer if possible. Or, I mean, it could be done in the fall, I guess. But before, I guess we'd like to have it done sometime before the weather turns again and it's ready to go, so that even if it doesn't happen, even if it doesn't get built to the fall, it could go up in the spring and be ready for next season. But yeah, I mean, that's both of these, the picnic tables would be more helpful to have sooner than later, because some of them are really quite dangerous.
Right, I believe has a question.
Yeah.
On the signage, is that you have a firm quote on this?
Well, I did my best to try to figure out, we designed a few and, kind of talked to some people that build things about how much it would cost, but that may be one of because after we did all that, someone said, oh, have the CDC kids build it. And that is an option, I think, that would potentially really reduce that cost. But I don't know whether they would take the project on. We'd have to design them probably and then get them to get that design to them. I don't know whether they're looking for projects now or, but that could decrease that cost.
They would likely not be able to, they would likely not be able to do it till next year. We've only got 4 weeks left of school.
Oh, for sure, right, exactly.
4 or 5, maybe 5 weeks.
Yes,
so
yes, no, for sure. But
just something to think about. If that's something you're gonna do, if you're looking for the summer.
Yeah.
Tomorrow.
No, I lost track of all these things, but yeah.
So, is installation included in that price? Are you including installation in
Yeah.
the $7,000?
Yes,
Okay.
it was. So,
And they would be on a metal post?
They would probably, yes, they would be on a metal post and sort of sunk in the ground, probably with some cement or something to hold it in place. And, you know, like I said, some of it would be much larger, you know, kind of like a welcome to Lake Perrin with information about who we are and what we're trying to do. And some of them would be much, you know, kind of smaller, like you're looking at the dam and the dam was built in 1827, you know, whatever, just information like that. Because it seems that first of all, people are always asking this information. Second of all, as our effort kind of moves forward to try to be more of a center for outdoor education, it makes sense to have more information for people. And often we're not there. And the idea that people can walk and swim and boat and whatever and get a little bit of information, you know, prior to entering the frost trail is kind of part of what we're doing. And some of it is just plain old safety stuff that, you know, we need a sign that says something about what you can do swimming wise and what you can't do, you know, just that kind of stuff. We have a very old sign that's been shot up by bullets. It's laying in the back of the building. It's a disaster. And I mean, we could put it back up, but it looks pretty tawdry. It looks like, oh, I'm going to send my kid here and they're going to get shot. You know, it's like not necessarily it's not a good image. Let's put it that way. So. And I don't know if you've ever sourced signs, but to get a metal sign, even from like Greg, who'll do it at somewhat of a discount, they're quite expensive.
Right.
You
So,
probably do.
yeah, okay. Right.
So again, you know, if you gave us 5,000 for that, we would make that work. You know what I mean? It's nothing here was really written in stone except for the 40. We really hoped that we could get the money for the staff person because that's a really big, that's something that really, really moves us into a very new place with our organization. So.
If I heard correctly, were there some requests of trustees for further investigation on some of this? Matthew, you asked to look into some alternates for tables. Did I hear that correctly? Alternate options.
I'm sorry, I just watched an event out in my wilderness of my front lawn that involved a squirrel falling 25 feet out of a tree, and I had to investigate.
I just want to see whether trustees had any requests for Alyssa to get them further information. I'm not sensing that the decision is going to be made tonight. I do have some information perhaps to share with trustees that we have not had a chance to talk about previous as to what's left in our ARPA funds. And there is money there, even if we were to grant other requests to some or all of a degree, and then still save the funds to fully fund the park project that Mark Boudreau talked about last month. So there still would be some remaining funds, but we have not, as a group, had a chance to look at that detail. So I just want to make sure that before we thank Alyssa, if there are specific questions she should prepare and come back for, we will get that noted.
Well, I would like to explore the idea of a really permanent stone, concrete, whatever tables where they can be used. Obviously, some you want to move around, but there's probably a couple places where you could create a nice sitting area that would be good forever, and it might be worth placing these kind of structures in those places. And I've already looked. They're $2,500 if you buy them, but
And shipping is
Couple of-
2,500.
But you're wanting 15,000 for 10, right?
That's what, yes, tables and benches. Mhm. I mean, like I said, I just went online and did a bunch of research and talked to a bunch of people and talked about it at our board meeting. And this was that's how we came up with this number. It's not unresearched, but it's not like I was kind of just
No, I
putting
get-
this together with my best intentions, but not the
course.
most detailed research. So, again, whatever.
I guess Matt's point is more about what's the overall plan, and
Mhm.
less about the cost. He wants to have an overall plan for places where these could be as a permanent fixture, and then some could be portable, of course, and that we make the decisions about what the materials are based on being able to put some of them into a fixed situation, hopefully to last for 30 years or so, right?
Yep.
So I guess that's the question. What do you have like a plan of location for these guys, and are there locations that could actually meet that requirement or that interest in having a durable structure that doesn't move, it's just there permanently?
There are only two spots I can think of that would work for that. One is up in the parking lot, when you first, the new path that we built that goes down along the side of
Yep.
the driveway.
Right.
So right up there, right at the top there where it's flat.
Uh-huh.
We have occasionally moved a picnic table up there because, people will come and have a meal there. The only other place I can think it might work is right at the entrance of the Frost Trail, where there's a barbecue thing,
Mhm.
because that's flat.
Mhm.
You mean, this is one of
Right.
our issues, is flatness, which we have very little of. And
enough.
the other problem is the other picnic tables we have scattered around always have to be moved, like the stone
Yeah.
skipping event, like there are two down by the beach, we have to move them for stone skipping. We are often moving picnic tables off of the pavilion to clear it out for a band and people dancing. So, and I would say by the volleyball court, but I'm not so sure that that's a smart idea, given that that's another one of our only other flat spots, and you never know what there might be other things that end up happening there, or the volleyball court needs to be kind of redone at some point and whatever. So those are the two spots I could imagine two more permanent tables going, that wouldn't be a problem in terms of rearranging things.
Okay.
But the biggest problem in that place is the hill. And how that forces us to behave in certain ways, or not do certain things that we would like to do. So
Thank you.
if you could make it flat, that would really, we could use ARPA funds to make it flat. We would be great.
Yeah, that
I will. Please.
exceeds our budget.
Yes, I know,
Yes.
right?
So at this point, I will say we have discussed this.
Okay.
I believe the trustees probably want to do a little bit of
Yes.
brainstorming.
Very good.
But I will tell you that we will have an answer for you
Thank you.
by our June meeting.
Thank you very much, Mary. And trustees, we appreciate it.
And Lori can put that on the minutes and we
Okay.
will follow up.
And if you have any
Next
more
time.
questions,
We will.
let me know. You
we
know
will
where to
get-
find me.
Yes, thank you very much.
Yeah.
I
Thank you,
appreciate that.
Alyssa.
Thank you, Alyssa.
Thank you, Matthew. Thank you, Ray. Thank you, Tyler. Thank you, Mary. I
You're
don't know
welcome.
you.
I'm WG. I'm the new
Alyssa.
treasurer.
Hi, very nice
Nice to meet you too.
Thank you. See you again.
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay, everybody. Bye. Enjoy the warm weather.
So continuing on with the agenda, if Norm has been patiently waiting and probably would like to continue on here, so let us skip directly to the highway and facilities report. We had a number of items to discuss under highway, which some of these were listed under new business, but I will let Norm take them in the order he wishes to discuss.
Okay, everybody hear me okay?
Yes.
Okay. So, probably one of the first things that we need to talk about is the Bank Street sidewalk. Do we want to move forward with that? Which, that the gravel that we just put down when we tore up the marble is a very temporary fix. And we have a quote through the contractor that does, most of our concrete work in the village. And as everything in the world right now is just going higher and higher and higher, it's something that we should talk about.
What was the quote?
The quote is $21,562.50. We have $38,000 in the sidewalk reserve.
Do we have anywhere else that we're planning to do sidewalks this year?
Not this, well, let me just say that sidewalks are going to be much like roads. We are going to kind of do a self-assessment of our sidewalks and do a short and long-term plan for how we wish to tackle these. We will then start looking for grants for most of this.
Just lost you.
All right?
Just lost everybody.
We can hear you, Matt,
I can hear you.
Yep.
but he can't hear us.
Okay, well, not to repeat, but we'll catch Matthew up when he gets
Right.
back. But so the question,
Okay.
the issue is we have a quote for $21,562. We have almost twice that in the reserve account.
With
Right.
that, Mary, that doesn't count the work that we're gonna have to do to make it ready. So that's all gonna be dug down.
Okay.
Because all
That's correct.
marble pulled and some grindings that we had put back in place just to deal. So, we have to dig that down. Now, I would really suggest from Church Street to Homestead Muse, if you take a walk out and walk on that sidewalk, it is absolutely horrid. So if we're going to continue to have a sidewalk there, we really should continue with the project because it would be cheaper to do it now once all the equipment is on site. Now, vendor may not have time to do it, because, with everything going skyrocket, people are still building like crazy.
Right.
But it's something that should definitely be looked at. Now, we discussed, and he said that he would hold the square foot price for the next project. So, you know what I mean? If it was, if it was $1 square foot, he'll do it $1 square foot, which is certainly not the price, but he'll continue right up the street.
So, yeah, okay. So this is two projects that are connected to each other. One,
Almost
Right.
double
yep. Okay.
the linear feet, It's there,
So,
broke apart.
so we would probably end up doubling the cost and exhausting the sidewalk fund if we did this for the year.
Sounds like it. Yep.
At least. Now, also remember that we still have about $90,000 for road repair. That includes roads, culverts, and sidewalks. That is from this year and carried over from last year that we have not yet used. So you can earmark some of that for such a project. We have done this twice now. We have carried over and not earmarked and done a project. It may just be time to do a project.
So that brings up whether there is a road project that needs to come from those funds.
Excuse me 1
Well,
minute.
there is. in
Yep.
part-
Mary, can you let Matthew in?
Oh, thank you. I did not, thank you, Lori.
Sure.
Matthew's
project ready.
joining again.
It's on the Overley Road, the big culvert.
Yeah,
And one of
That's
the
gonna be part of it.
surplus money this year is actually buying that will do the job. The gravel, the stone,
right.
in getting them on site. We do have a $200,000 grant for it. There's gonna be some added cost. We have cautiously squirreled away a little bit of this money through the years, but like Mary said, we need to do something. If you walk out on that sidewalk, there's nobody there gonna tell you that thing's not horrible. We have
Right.
improved our sidewalks great around the village. There's some that are non-existent at this time that had gravel, but to repair the ones now before we start adding new. And up black.
Norm, you're very difficult to hear. You're coming and going.
You remember turning down the volume, I think, was one thing you could do?
No, I think he needs to be closer.
I got
Try it
my
again.
volume down. Is that better?
Yeah, that's better.
That's better.
Okay. So, when we blacktop them, we really don't have good success for longevity with them.
Yeah,
They're not strong, and our ground is very clay, and they just shift too much and they just smash apart. So, again, this could be, we don't even know if the contractor can keep going and do it. You know what I mean? So we can approve one, and then we can even approve the next one in June. But
Yes.
it's something that we really should be looking at, and it should be, yes, if we wait till June, it should be either yes, we're moving forward, or no, we're not, and that should be the end of the discussion.
Well, I am personally in favor of going forward with this part and then doing the research to find out what the continuation of it would cost. At that point in time, when we know that, we will be able to analyze what we have left in our budget. We'll have more information on the culvert by then, and we'll know what we have left to earmark.
Yes,
Okay.
that's,
okay.
Do we need to make a motion?
Yes, please.
Okay, I make a motion to approve a sidewalk project in the value of $21,562.50 for the concrete impressions on Bank Street.
Okay.
Can I say it?
We don't have to approve the gravel and digging. That's a separate issue.
That goes along with the project.
But I thought I heard Norm say that would be additional costs. So
it is, but we do that ourselves.
you do that yourselves. Okay.
Yeah.
We'll
All
do
right.
that ourselves. We'll have a small equipment rental.
Right.
For a little excavator that can get on the machine, get on that
Okay.
sidewalk so I can rip it up real quick.
All right.
We truck it away and we bring it back. That's
So
That's
that
not a-
comes out of our highway
yes.
highway costs, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes. I mean, it'll be a little bit, but it won't be crazy.
All right.
So like I said, we'll approve to do between School Street and Church Street for the first one.
Okay.
And then
Yes.
we can talk about Church to Homestead Muse for the second.
Okay.
And you'll get a cost on that.
So you need a second, right? Because Tara made it first.
I will
a
second
motion.
that motion.
Okay.
Thank you. All in favor? Aye.
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 Thank you. Okay, Norm, what's your next item?
All right, the next item, Mark's still there to talk about the skate park. We had
Thank you.
mentioned it repeatedly that the kids keep breaking the wooden fence there to actually install a piece of guardrail. along the front because cars keep driving up on top of the skate park. And then upgrades to the basketball fence where for years of kids sliding down Pudding Hill are going right through it. That whole fence, that whole bottom row is completely wrecked. You know, and that was, we have 2 quotes for those to get fixed, and that would really kind of tune up that area quite a bit.
Yeah, and there's a few other things too. I was called by one of the Lions, and they pointed out a few things that some of the community members have pointed out too. Do you remember, Norm, who did the blacktop for that? For the skate park?
Mentroni for the skate park. It was Mentroni. For
Okay.
I don't the blacktop the basketball that was done years before I ever got here.
Yeah, the basketball was fine. I was up there, we checked out, the basketball court's great. They, just because of the weight of the ramps and things, there's a lip that's formed as you enter 2 sections of the, 2 of the ramps. That's pretty significant, and I can imagine the size of a wheel of the skateboard.
Okay.
Coming down, I'll bet you there are probably some people that are eating it when they come off that piece of equipment. So I wanted to find out who poured it, and I can contact Controlling to see what the fixes could be. I think there's probably enough material base where you can just grind it down a little bit. So we're only talking probably about 1/2 to 3/4 of an inch. But certainly he would know better than I do. So I might try to get him up there and take a look at that.
Yeah, I think it's 3 inches thick. You know, the grinding, you know, it might have to be done by hand because of just the skate ramp right next to it.
Exactly. Yeah, you're absolutely right. Yeah, so is that something that he would probably contract to do, or is that something we can do, you can do in-house?
I'll go take a look at it in the morning.
Okay. And I'll also touch base with him to make sure that's a good idea or not.
Yep.
So I can follow up with that. And then there are a couple other things. I mean, I don't want to waste Norm's time, but just in terms of the skate park, we also looked at, we need mulch. We need probably replacing both basketball standards and backboards, rims, and I'll send you guys all this in an email. One of the swings needs to be replaced, and probably some minor maintenance to some of the other things that I could probably do myself.
We put two swings. We put all the swings new last year.
Yeah, you know which one isn't though? The one with the big heavy plastic with the fold over top.
The child one.
That's the original. Yes, that's the original. I think it's considered child and handicap accessible.
Yeah, we haven't changed that one.
Right, so the strap is broken on that. That might be a piece. I'm gonna look, as I was up there, I did see a sign right on the swing. They had the company manufacturer. I can contact them to get an idea of whether they could just replace the strap. I mean, it's fairly old. I don't know if that's possible or not. But in terms of putting those together, I was gonna ask you all if that's something you want me to put together as a package with the Welling Field and just do the complete, what we need to get the parks up, and we can run that through the ARPA.
Yeah.
I'm in favor of that. Yes,
Yep.
I'm in favor of that, and not a whack-a-mole. Let's fix this and then do that and then do the next.
Perfect. And the Lions are also, they said they're very willing to any kind of in-kind, and they also have money in addition. If we can wrap it all there, then we can do most of the.
When you're looking at that, there was a request last month, 6-8 weeks ago, to perhaps put some sort of motion light on the.
I'm sorry, I didn't see that. The reason why the lighting isn't great at the park is because it's a dawn to dusk. We don't want
Yes,
people
you
there.
did mention that.
We don't want people there after dark,
Yeah,
so
okay.
so a motion light, if they're moving around, is gonna provide light and will encourage people.
Well, as long as you can just do a review of the lighting and make sure it's the way it should be. It may already be, but.
Well, given that it's not open past dusk.
Then
or dark,
it is, okay,
There is no requirement for it.
all right.
So yeah, I mean, initially it sounded like, yeah, we really should have good lighting there, but then we're encouraging people to hang out. And as we know, it's probably one of our most tagged areas.
Isn't it possible that having motion light there at night would be a deterrent? Even if you set it up so that
Sure.
it goes on and then it goes off. You know, you can set intervals with that.
Yeah. No, you're absolutely right. I mean, it could. But until you put one in and find out, you don't know. But if they are there moving around, once it's on, it will stay on as long as there's movement. And once they figure out that it's a motion light, it may or may not be deterrent. So
I think we
you
also
could absolutely
talked-
be right.
I think we also talked about the potential to have a game camera or something that could take a picture when the light came on, in terms of like catching taggers.
Well, we
Just a
already
deterrent.
have 4 cameras there, and 2 more were installed this week. The tree committee people are going to be a little sad because the maple trees in the other park with the fire pit are actually blocking the signal now when they're leaving out. They're getting, we need to cut a little hole in them to get the signal back. But
Well, let's see.
they'll end up
So we
being
have
8
cameras.
cameras.
Okay.
Okay, I didn't know that. Thank
And
you.
Norm, see, at one point in time, we put in a booster to boost a signal over there. Would an additional booster help? Get it
No,
through or around it?
because it's a bridge, it has its own secure side. That booster is just for public Wi-Fi. So if our information can't be transmitted on it, that way it can't be hacked. You know what I mean? People can't be,
Makes sense.
only people with a I don't know, a different level of security can look at those cameras.
Okay.
So Mark, if you'll put together that comprehensive wish list
Yeah.
of things, but let's get back to
Yeah,
the
in terms of the
two.
fence, I mean, I think it's a great idea.
Yeah.
Are you
I did
okay?
look at the fence, and it's kind of the same thing that happens around baseball fields. Kids whacking balls against the bottom, it curls the bottom up, so now it actually creates, where the sledders are coming down, probably a hazard where the points are sticking out, and that can be where they go in. So that's a great idea. I just don't know if you guys wanted to use the Park and Rec money for that, or if we could tie that in with the ARPA. But if we take care of Welling Field and a lot of these with the ARPA money, we've got a fairly healthy Park and Rec. Yeah, we could actually just move forward with that out of Park and Rec. And this would be, for the amount of money, what was it, 4,300
Yeah.
roughly was the,
Yeah.
it's a great idea. And the wooden fence, kids are gonna sit on it, it's gonna break even when they're not trying to vandalize. So I think the metal rail is a great idea.
And so, in the analysis that I have been kind of keeping a tally of, as of after last meeting, when you were talking about the $80,000 to redo the whole field, I'm considering that ARPA money now.
Mhm.
Just on a note, I shouldn't say I'm considering, it's just in my wish list of proposals, I've got that in there.
Great. Well, I'll do too. Hey, Norm, I might have to pick your brain on just, I'm gonna go with some local folks for the bid on that, for some quotes on that. But if you know anybody that I should be contacting that is, that we could get to excavate that field and level it out and everything, I'd appreciate that.
And you're talking Welling Field.
Yes.
Yep. Okay. I'll call you tomorrow on that.
Sounds good. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Okay, so let's move and see if we can get a motion to accept the two proposals here for Norm.
Can you restate the
just to-
proposals?
Yeah, so they're in front of us here. One is to replace the 8-foot chain link fence at the skate park in
Yep.
North Bennington. That includes removing 100 foot of 8-foot chain link fence, straighten all the posts, reset any posts that need to be reset, add 30 feet of new top rail, add 100 of bottom rail, add 2 strands of bottom tension wire, 1 below the bottom rail and 1 above it. Install 100 feet of new 8-foot galvanized chain link fence, but install on the other side of the post for strength. Fasten it with heavy duty ties and tighten and retie the other 30 feet of fence that's not damaged too bad. That's at a cost of $42.94.65, so $4,294.65. And the other one is to put in the used steel beam guardrail with 8-foot posts. And it looks like there's 2 options, 183 foot or 208 foot. The 183 foot one is $3,147.60. And the 208 is $3,577.60. Norm, can you explain the difference in the lengths there?
The difference
do
is
have a
that little driveway, there's a little short section. If you were looking at it
Yeah.
to the right, and then there's a little driveway, and then there's the long section, that would be doing the whole front of the park.
And I believe, Norm, when you and I looked at that, that was your preference.
That is my preference. When people pull in, they park down in that lower section, and then they you know, it just keep them from driving in. It'll make the parks or nobody can run over a little kid.
Are
Is there?
there breaks in this for entrance, walking?
Yes.
into the park? Okay.
The driveway will remain where it is,
Mhm.
and we can put a cable across it or something like that we can remove.
Okay.
You know, it could be even just quick clips, you know, in case there have to be an ambulance, anybody can take it off, but it would keep
Okay.
just a deterrent.
Okay, that was my question too.
So we're gonna go with that.
Yeah, so it looks like we're gonna go with the $3,577.60 one, if we're gonna do that at all.
Is that
Which I think
correct,
we
Norm?
Well, it was correct when it was quoted. And again, quotes change
No, I know.
by the week, but
But by correct, I mean, that was the one you preferred and that was the,
the long one, yes.
Right.
and
This one says the proposal is in effect for 30 days and it was dated April 17th. So we have about a week to decide on that without prices changing.
All right. Well, I'll move that we adopt it.
I'll
Or do we
second
want to
that.
do it with the other? Yeah, we'll just do it this way. Okay.
I'll second
Do we
that.
want to do them together? or
Yes, just do
separate?
them together, please.
Okay, then I will second your motion.
All in favor? Aye.
All right,
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, Norm, you got that? We'll move on.
Okay,
Okay.
so
The only, okay, no, there was one other thing that we were gonna talk about potentially that I don't know if you want to weigh in on, and that was last time Matthew Patterson had some proposal on protocols for summer mowing. Is that something, Matthew, that Mark would have input on? Remember you said you would like that discussed.
so that was just a letter from another community member to me just about 10 minutes before last meeting. And so I sent that out. I'm in agreement as I sit here in my front lawn and watch about 300 bumblebees in my front lawn and see them nowhere around me. I think there's advantages to, pulling back a little bit on the mowing. I mean, I love the work that Norm and the crew does in keeping everything looking great, but this might be coming
This
back.
would not be the ball fields.
No,
So, I think, until we actually get them to, I have no issues with that whatsoever, Matthew. I think until we actually get the fields to where we have interested parties in using them, I mean, I don't see an issue. The only really regular use we get out of Welling Field right now is the wiffle ball league, and they actually mow their own area if they need to mow it better.
Yeah.
Now that can change, once we get Welling Field up to where I hope to get it, then we can revisit that. But, I think that's up to you guys how, take into consideration the cost, but I don't think it would affect the use of the fields any right now to talk about maybe, in some areas more, in some areas less, or, yeah, I've got no problem with that.
Okay.
I'm not even.
Are we also thinking of delaying the first mowing of the season for conservation purposes of bees? Because I know that there is an internet push to delay your first mow so that, you know, the good pollinators have time to wake up and get moving.
Tara, I actually think that's a good point. I think that
Yeah.
we're not talking about grassland birds here. We're talking about these insects that, you know, just even down, I'm not talking about the ball fields at all. I mean, those have to be kept to where what they do at all times, but Henry Bridge, you know, let it grow, you know, and
We
then
have talked about brush hogging that a couple of times a year instead of doing, you know, the 500 mows that they have to do because it's somehow the perfect growing
right.
environment. So
And
were we gonna follow through on that?
I feel like that got dropped like a lead ball, but you know, there could be
I think,
sections of that whole area that could be left to go pretty much all year with paths.
so I think the only, sorry, I think the only issue with that might be, it's a fairly heavily used dog area, and the longer that grass gets, the number of ticks will be unbelievable.
Yeah, well,
Just a thought. But
Well,
yeah,
to that I say, is there any wisdom to mowing an outside edge of it, but not the entire thing? Because the outside edge is usually like woods to grass transition is where the ticks usually cross.
there's
And
a,
if we mow the edge, it will discourage the ticks from moving into the middle, save, you know, animal.
yeah, you're right. There used to be a maintained little path that went kind of exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah,
Yeah, and that would actually probably help out with the garden folks down there too, if they had paths going to their grow stations or any ones they have to get to more frequently, but.
Norm, do you want to weigh in on this? I know we're leaving this.
I
To you.
think the park looks really nice the way it's maintained. I think the, if we want to change it, we haven't mowed it yet this year because of, just sheer water.
Yeah.
You know, it grows, excuse me, it grows incredibly fast. You know, I think the ladies that take care of all the flowers in the parks, if we want to change do a drastic change as being suggested, they should be invited to weigh in and have some comments on, you know, they do a lot of work there.
they've weighed in and they are amenable to a hybrid mode, non-mode meadow kind of situation.
I think you're talking to the people that I'm not talking to.
Well,
Okay, so how about we do this? How about we do this to move on? We will keep this on our to-do list and we will have some additional conversation. It does not need to be decided tonight. We will get the gardeners group in, and if need be, those interested can meet Norm over at Henry Field there and come up with a plan.
good
Okay.
plan.
Sound okay?
Ray's got something to say.
Yes.
I have a question about the tree limbs that have, and one tree that have fallen there. Do we have a policy on leaving those in place or what?
Well, we've been leaving them in place just for the simple fact to keep cars from driving down in there.
Yeah.
It's become you know, it's always a problem, but this year you can see the drive by and see all the damage that's been in there.
I mentioned it last meeting. Yes, I
Yeah,
agree with you
so,
there. But I'm talking
you know,
like that cottonwood that fell down 3 years
Right.
ago, I guess. No.
well, that's because people used to drive up and they would sit there and smoke their pot in that back
Right.
corner.
Yeah, they would drive. That was one of the things that annoyed me was they created this whole road to that poplar,
Right.
that cottonwood.
But that's why that one was left there.
Okay. And the other thing is the damage from the wind and ice storms this year. Do we leave those limbs down or what? Do we clean those up eventually?
We usually clean them up when we get down there and start mowing it.
Okay. There's a good chunk of a box elder that's lying out in the pathway. So,
Yep.
yep.
So Norm, this is a good segue to something that I've been meaning to speak to. But you know, the tree committee, we've talked about removing a tree and that hopefully the village would be willing to do it. And I think you probably know what I'm talking about, but up there at the intersection of Overly and Mechanic.
Yep, we got the guy who cuts our trees. It's on his list. We can't cut it. It's gonna hit the power lines. There's 3 streets.
No. Are we talking about the same tree?
You're talking about those 3 ash trees.
Well, it's right. It's a cluster of one tree, right?
Right, but if you talk to them, you know, it's gonna be an easy job for them when they come to town, and you know what I mean? But yeah,
Will they
it's
drop
after
it? Will they drop it from the ground and you all can clean it up?
that. No, you can't because it's too long. It's gonna hit the power lines. If it's too tall, it's too tall. It's close enough where you can't take a chance on it.
No, I get that.
He go up in a bucket and he whaps it, and then it's all over.
Okay.
It's
So
on our list.
that's something that can happen. I mean, I already agreed.
Yeah, it's on our list. It's on
Thank
our list
you.
to get done. And
Thank you. And
we're meeting with the Fund for North Bennington. I've already met with one of the people in Jeff Gray. There's 2 on their property on Park Street that need to come down.
Yep.
And you know, if they agree to split them with us, we're just going to take them.
okay.
They're big maples. One of them's cracked. It's real bad, and the other one's just as bad. You
Yep.
can drive down Park Street and you can see I got painted 1 and 2 on them.
Yep. And it's definitely just for the record. For the record, those are trees that will fall in the road in the right of way, and it's better to take them out than wait.
Yep.
For when they fall. Thank you. I really appreciate that.
Okay. Norm, we have a couple of other items on your agenda. Is there something you want to say, or do you want me to launch?
No, you can launch. I'll just stay in for any
Okay.
questions.
Okay, so the mobile speed detector that had previously been approved and ordered is coming on Thursday. So what I'd like to do, I've had 2 calls on where this is gonna go. So Norm and I had a brief discussion a couple of weeks ago, and I'd like to get the trustees' thoughts on coming up with a schedule. It doesn't have to be an etched in stone schedule, but a plan for how we're going to deploy this. Thinking that it will stay in place for 2 to 3 weeks. We'll start it out on Mechanic Street so that it's right there and Norm can keep an eye on it, see how it works, make any tweaks or adjustments as needed. Then we'll move it over to the 67A, the Bank Street area coming into town where we've had a lot of the speeding noted over there. Houghton Road, I've had a couple of requests for speeding there, especially up here by the park. I know, I believe I recall hearing that it should be on Water Street as you come in towards the village as well. If there's any other places that we should think about putting this, maybe have a schedule so that if people ask us about this, we can say, here's the plan.
It all seems good. This is the trailer with just this is your speed flashing at you. So,
Yes.
yep. I agree.
Sounds
Water
good.
Street, Mechanic Street's an important start.
I think we're in good shape for that.
Okay, and then just bear in mind, if you do get questions as people see this, we can adjust this and amend it, and hopefully it will bear fruit sooner rather than later, but we can then move it to other areas of concern. The other thing, let's see if I've checked off. Just today, I had the pleasure of meeting a young man, a Bennington College student. Norm can weigh in here too. His name is Ahmed. I know I'll butcher the name. Shwady. I I think I misspelled it, but that's his name. He is going to be volunteering his services with Norm and Kyle for a couple of weeks and then start working with Norm and Kyle for the summer and perhaps beyond. But
Great.
it seemed like a very good fit. Norm introduced me to him. I think everyone was impressed. And it, as Norm had mentioned, it keeps that relationship going with Bennington College, and you have somebody in your backyard that can help.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay. That was it on, oh, no. Trustees, we are going to meet with Norm at 7:15 one morning, as long as this works for the rest of you, sooner rather than later. Norm is going to instruct us on how to do a road condition assessment. And we are going to put our eyes on these roads and develop us a plan, hopefully within 2 months, come back and we'll have a meeting and take a look at the roads. Is there a time, Norm, that works for you? And Matthew, you may have a schedule that you'd like to weigh in on, but if at all possible, I would like for people to look at their calendars and come up with a time to meet with Norm. If we don't have to decide it tonight, but there will be an email that goes out tomorrow. So bear that in mind. If there is a day that works for you better than others, let me know right now. And it will tentatively be at 7:15 in the morning.
I think it's a good thing to put it to the email so that we can.
Okay.
Keep going.
All right. Well, I'm just letting you know, it's gonna be a requirement.
Yeah.
It's
So-
gonna happen.
So
Okay.
I guess are Sundays not an option? Probably not for Norm.
You
So-
have
I
Wednesday off.
can.
To what?
You have
Tues-
Wednesdays off.
No, I don't anymore. I don't have any days off. I have Sunday off, but I can, I normally leave for work a little bit before 7, and if I can be late to work, that's not a problem. So
We could
can
do,
meet at 7.
set it up.
Okay, we'll set it up. Okay.
Mondays are not good, but Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, that works.
Okay, so consider it done. Okay, so that's that. Moving along, the Development and Review Board, Tara,
Yeah.
you have a comment?
We have a meeting next week regarding the zoning issue on Honeysuckle, 201 Honeysuckle Lane. So anyone who has concerns regarding that is free to attend. That will be here, I believe, on Tuesday, the 17th.
What time did you say?
I want to say it's 7. Let me pull up my email real quick. It is at 7 o'clock.
Tara,
Is this something?
what's the next step with this?
The new issue?
Yeah.
The new business is a property owner's appeal of zoning administrator's action to issue a notice of zoning violation for continuing to use the residence located at 201 Honeysuckle Lane as a home occupation for a carrier business. Reference previously issued DRB findings of fact and decision dated February 28th, 2022. So I think it is a continuation of the previous issue.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay, that's here at 2:00. Okay.
And on Zoom, there is a Zoom link if anyone wants it.
Mary, I think you were going to ask the question about the water department meeting the same night. And I've already inquired. I've already asked the water department to move to the smaller room.
Okay.
Thank
Okay,
you.
so
We
Tara,
have a bunch of others that have been warned, so they may come.
yeah, so Billy
Okay.
did ask me, requested the room that you're currently in, and I did ask the water department that several weeks ago.
Okay.
Okay, they
Okay.
didn't respond, but I did ask them to move.
Okay,
Okay, we can discuss it when they get here.
okay.
My other question was in regards, this isn't development review, but in regards to the ordinances that we passed in our special meeting a couple of months ago. I've been asked and Mark has been asked when they go into effect. Are they now in effect because we approved them, or did we have to take another step to get them active?
I'm not sure.
I'm not sure. I'm not sure who to ask this question to. I believe we had to put them out to the public in 2 places or some action like that. And then after 45 days, they were fully in effect. Does that make sense? It may be written directly into.
That makes sense, but I would think Jim Sullivan would have the answer to that. I don't know. Jim or
Okay, maybe we need
Okay,
to ask Jim.
CRC people would know. I don't know.
Okay, that's fine. I can follow up with him.
next item then is planning commission and commission. And Matthew, I don't know if you wanted to make any comment, but I am referencing the email that you sent out from Jim Sullivan with some ideas for zoning bylaw updates. Is there a meeting scheduled for discussing this?
There is not. At this time, our board has lost a few community members to attrition. I'm not sure we even have a quorum, but there are issues that come back from the syndicate that would like to do some things with properties. And when they look into it, they see that the current bylaws kind of hinder them. And I'm speaking specifically about, Mary, what is it, 17 Main?
Yeah, both, what is it? Is it the 2 of them? There's 2 of them,
Right.
40 and
40 Main.
37, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that,
It just seems like an important issue. And
It
what
is.
can we do to help get this moving forward?
How many people do you need?
well, I'll have to look into that, because as I was just looking at the current slate of planning members, it's yeah, we may have 3 and we would need 5. But
Okay.
would Tara like to be on this board? Is this what we're getting at? That'd be great.
No, Tara has many things to do in my life, and I'm already taking on more in the trustee role. So I'm gonna say I could find you people.
But I can think of a few people that might be interested too, so.
Yeah.
Right, so
Okay.
let's talk about that, but yes, I'll get back to Jim about that. And I think probably some informal meetings, just discuss the situation, and I kind of would like to get actually Rob Wilmington involved with the vision and all that. And I don't know if he's back yet or if he's coming back or what, but
Well, to me, this is an important enough thing that getting more of the community involved in something like this, I think would be a good thing.
where Jim's coming from in this is just better language that's more
Yeah.
contemporary and looking at the issues. You know, we get told academics in planning, you know, to look at your community in one way, and then they come around and say, well, but you got to be more flexible, and you know, so it's doing a deep
All right.
dive into what our options are for particular properties.
Okay. Well, we will follow up with you and we'll keep that
Okay.
we'll keep working on that. Moving along, nothing that I know of from the fire department unless anybody else knows something to report on the fire department.
Yep, Tara and I, last Saturday, met with Chief Ed. Got a quick tour of the fire department. He discussed the department's needs, showed us the truck that they are hoping to replace. We stressed the importance of the budget process going forward. He has one of his members, I don't remember who it was, that's working with him to get us a much more detailed equipment schedule, what their lifespan is, what the current costs of replacement would be, everything from soup to nuts. Basically, we told them, anything that you need that has to be replaced on a schedule other than breakage, which we explained, that's a different animal all in itself. So hopefully over the next couple of months that will start to come in and they'll have a better presentation / budget for their annual budget and for things moving forward as far as large ticket replacement items go. So Tara, anything else?
No, I think you hit it all.
Excellent, thank you very much.
It's
Thank you for
underway.
doing that.
Yes.
Ray,
Yeah, I have one point about that. When they give you life expectancy, I should think that there are standard tables or, experience-based points to be made about the life expectancy of a piece of equipment, and maybe the state, in fact, provides that. I'm not sure, but
We did ask
some
if
association.
there was yeah, we
I
did
would
ask
just-
whether there was a state-related thing.
I
And
would
some
just
of
like
them
to
are.
know. I would like to know the,
your time.
at any rate, that's either way, it's an authority question because I don't know. So it's got to be someone or a group or an organization that gives you something that you can trust. That's all.
And I think that Tara and I kind of brought that up to him, both from that standpoint, and we asked questions from a training standpoint, like, okay, what is the bare minimum that a person has to have to be a firefighter versus what would they want to do in order to do things? So we did bring up between Tara and I those types of questions as, what is a requirement, like the air packs, they have I believe it's a 10-year cut and dry. Once they're on the truck for 10 years, they're out of there. So we hopefully, like you said, Ray, we'll have those within those, when we get those reports back that says, okay, these have to be replaced every 10 years, no questions asked. These, maybe a piece of equipment has a useful life typically of 5 years, maybe we can stretch it to 7. So
Yeah,
We also
agreed.
asked about training in terms of getting new members and existing members classes that cost something like $1,000 a person, and how often and how necessary each of those trainings are. So hopefully that will also be in the breakdown.
Great.
Okay, that's good. I appreciate that you asked those questions.
If
Mary,
no more, yes,
so there was the one other I sent to you. I don't know if I sent it to everybody, but the EMP emergency management
I'm
plan.
coming, yes, I'm coming to that, Matthew.
Okay, thank you.
I have, yes, I do have that under our old business.
Okay.
So if there's no more discussion on the fire department, I don't see anyone from the water department, and I don't know if anyone has any updates or comments from them. Okay. Okay, under old business, the new business was the skate park. We have already discussed that. Under old business, I'd like to do a very quick update on where we are with the website. Thanks to Tara and especially to Aaron. Lucy Royal is now working to attach the Squarespace site that she's built to our domain that we own, which is villagenorthbennington.org. She's created a Google Drive with several different Google Doc folders for content. Several of us will have access to the drive so that we can add PDFs and that'll automatically update the contact. She's creating a Google Calendar for municipal dates and for various village events. She will be training us so that we can be self-sufficient on this, but she will be retained for questions and she will do any significant updates or changes. There is a info@villagenorthbennington.org kind of email type thing that is created. That will be also be listed on as a contact us on this website. Several of us, especially Lori, will have access to that, and questions can be answered directly from that email or forwarded appropriately. And at a later date, we will discuss what protocol we need to answer emails, forward things, keep proper documentation and records. There'll be plenty of time to get some training, navigate around. All the trustees can poke around and try out the site. But we are scheduling a go live for July 1st, 2022. Yay.
Nice.
Yes, so you'll hear more about that, but this is like really, really getting going. Then Matthew, the next thing I had was your LEMP, the local emergency management plan update. I do have this. I have several questions on this, Matthew, so I don't know whether you are filling this out or you wish for Lori and I to do it.
I wish somebody who has the contacts for the new changes, particularly within the fire department and the new structure of this board.
I do have that. Yep, I do have that. I do have a couple of questions which I do not have to ask you now, but I will get them out, and then Lori and I can work together and get this document done.
So there was a big change last year or 2 years ago in how this was filled out and submitted. The purpose of this, of course, primarily is so that we all know who to talk to when shit goes down, right? When there's a big storm or whatever. But really going through these motions is about maintaining our ability to access lots of state and federal money. So we just have to go through the motions on this. And this year, I think all it is just updating contact information. I think everything else is in good shape and there's not any drastic changes in infrastructure or that would need to be included in that plan. So, this is the month that we should ratify this or vote to accept the plan, but we can wait till next month if you want to go over, Mary, with some of that. And
Allison is still working out the last details, and she certainly has a meeting set up for May 24th with the team. So she plans to get done before she has a baby, I believe.
But Tara, these are two different projects.
Two different.
All right, that's LMP, LEMP.
Yeah,
They are-
Hazard mitigation.
They are related for sure.
Yeah.
One's an annual thing and one's a 5-year thing or whatever it is. So Allison's working on that other one that you and I both can't attend as she proposed. But there's other players. Hopefully they'll show up, or she'll submit an alternative time that we can meet, because whatever it was, 4:30 in the afternoon, it's not going to work for me, or you apparently.
Rarely works for me.
But
okay. Well, Matthew, then I will ask you the specific questions that I have, and I can even do them via email to you.
Fine. And then maybe in June, we can put it on the agenda to adopt the new LEMP.
Okay. I've noted that, and hopefully Lori will too.
Of course she will.
Okay. So the only other thing, okay, so the only other thing that we were going to do is I would request a brief executive session. There, it is for a discussion of a legal matter. There will be no action taken, no decisions made. Is that the proper way to state that?
I would make a motion to go into executive.
I'll second.
And then Cat TV, I think we will then say goodbye because we will come out and just adjourn.
Cat TV is celebrating 30 years of community media. Help support Cat TV's next 30 years by becoming a member today. Your membership will help us continue covering meaningful, local content. Thank you for supporting your local community media station.